Hey everyone, JagTagger93 here with another Quake map, and this one's a good one. It's from May 2018 by Simon Sock O'Callaghan, and it's called Grendels Blade. This map offers an old-school gothic ambience of Quake, and that ambience has kept me coming back to Quake for more than 2 decades. And it's all delivered in a shiny, technically outstanding 2018 package. In other words, while it looks grim and gritty, it needs arcane dimensions and Quake Spasm to get going, along with a patch. Links are in the description. Now, I usually stay away from maps that use arcane dimensions and other extraneous, outside resources, as I feel that they create sometimes a product that doesn't feel accurate to the source game. Now, when you make a map, especially these days, there's the temptation to make it look as good as possible, and that's understandable. However, while there's always a risk of adding too much polish there, you add on too many bells and whistles, and then you end up with a product that doesn't really feel like Quake at all. And while that's not necessarily a bad thing, especially if you're not, wanting to make something like Quake, if you want to make something original, then have at it. But for me, it's a bit of a turnoff, since the reason why I primarily still play Quake and Doom is really for nostalgia. Now, thankfully, nostalgia is definitely present here. In the story of Quake, there's a soldier who's dubbed Ranger. Now, Ranger slipgates from realm to realm to fight Lovecraftian-inspired monsters, along with Quake's undead army. His voyage in the original game takes place primarily in futuristic military establishments like depots and bases, and then he goes to gothic medieval castles, and later in the game he ends up in mind-twistingly bizarre cosmic horror-inspired landscapes. The setting to Grendel's Blade fits right alongside that vintage theme. There's a tangible medieval fantasy element here that's woven into the progression of the map. At the very start of the map, you start standing beside a very large runic sword, which we can assume is the titular blade of Grendel. By the way, here, extra points here for using the classic monster as referenced in the readme's files narrative. Oh, and double extra points for having one of the most interesting narratives to a Quake map I've ever read. It's very short, but it leaves a lot of the imagination, and a lot of elements of it appear actually in the progression of the map, so it's more than just window dressing. It's very, very good, and I recommend you read it for yourself in the description before you play. Now, to summarize, in a nutshell, in this realm, a giant sword has pierced the planet, and the locals started worshipping it as a sign from their cosmic deity, Grendel. Worship of this massive blade turned into a fanatical zealotry, as the people started to build this intricate cathedral around it. Now, we could assume this cathedral was used to house some nefarious cultish activity like dark magic and blood sacrifices and whatnot. I mean, heck, how else do all these monsters get here? Unless the monsters are actually the townsfolk. Anyway, a master craftsman, aptly named Matthias Quad, constructed rooms from the blade's material. Upon seeing the power of these runes, the temple high priest turned the cathedral into a fortress for the purpose of keeping their power confined and repelling invasion by any outside nations that are after the power of these runes. I'm assuming the runes mentioned here are the quad damage pickups, because they're very powerful and they're very intricately spaced throughout the map. Now, the priests believe that one day someone will come for these runes and unlock the mystery of Grendel's Blade. And throughout the map, you get hints as to where they are, and there is a very clever nod to Lord of the Rings as well, which you'll find. So anyway, as you progress through the map, you'll discover that this backstory, like I said, isn't just fluff. There are quad damages strategically placed throughout the map, and their smart use is essential for getting out alive, especially on nightmare difficulty. Now, you know what I mean here. Grab the quad damage, run and gun as fast as you can towards larger, more substantial threats. Also, during the course of the map, you will regularly come across fiery, glowing runes that, when destroyed, causes one of the runes on Grendel's Blade to fade away. Now, it's very possible to exit the map without destroying each rune. In fact, finding the runes will take a lot of backtracking. Some of them are particularly tricky to find. Now, those temple priests were not kidding when they hid everything away. Thankfully, Sock posted hints as to the rune's location right on his page, and that was a huge help. Now, unfortunately, destroying all the runes doesn't really result in anything substantial. Upon destroying the last rune, a larger rune appears on the hilt of a sword after you activate a switch. Blowing that up results in an earth-shattering earthquake followed by a wave of inborn threats. Fighting your way through them, you return right back to the exit where there are two shamblers in your way. If you get past them, then you exit, and the map ends exactly how it would have ended had you not gone through the trouble of backtracking, and you just left when you had the chance. Now, seeing how much effort the author put into the ambience, the story of this map, I was really hoping for at least an end title card or a narrative card, but no, nothing. And that is really my only real complaint with this map. And honestly, it's not much of a complaint, as I'm griping about something extra, something that the author threw in as an extra thing. You don't have to backtrack for these additional runes, but it's there for replayability and to encourage additional exploration of the map. Now, for that said, there's a lot of great things about this map. Again, I can't say enough good things about the item placement, especially the placement of the quad damages. The enemy placement is also very good as well, and very cunning. Scrags and other airborne threats are placed in precise areas to get the jump on unalert players. And the corridors are angled beautifully in favor of the ogre's grenades, just so they can have that right bounce right at you, right when you think you're hiding in safety. Most of the secrets are fantastic, as well as they reward player exploration. For the most part, they're very easy to spot, but the trick is being willing to go off the beaten path every now and then and take your time in looking around and taking in your surroundings. If you do, you'll spot these secrets pretty easily. And those are the kind of secrets I love. Again, ones that reward the player's attention to detail, reward it when the player takes time to appreciate the map, and the map kind of thanks you in turn with providing those secrets. Really cool. The map really is gorgeous, and after beating out Nightmare, I had to play it a few other times on easy, just for the privilege of sightseeing and taking in the details that I might have missed while trying to survive on the hard difficulties. So all in all, this is a must-play. Now again, you need some extra things to get it going, like Arcane Dimensions mod and a patch, which again, everything is linked right in the description. Now I recommend having a separate directory for Quake, Spasm, and all that other stuff. Now it's more than worth it though for maps like this. I'm absolutely floored that the build time for this map was only 6 weeks. If the author said it took him 6 months, I would have completely believed it. The assets used here, plus the author's attention to ambience and ability to seamlessly lead the player around in the map's progression, is why this map gets a 10 out of 10 for me. Now that's 10 out of 10 quad damages. Again, holy crap, you're going to need them. And I'll give it 4 additional Resonator Screams for how incredibly challenging, but by no means unfair, it is on Nightmare difficulty. Indeed, I had some moments of frustration, moments of anger, moments where I was slamming my keyboard and again belting that Trent Reznor-like scream at the top of my lungs while trying to get through this map. The author did recommend that you start it on easy if you want to take in the ambience, which I really wanted to, but now I started on Nightmare and I did it, and it was very rewarding and challenged very well. Love the progression, love the build up in the enemies. The enemy progression is great, along with level progression. So, yeah, definitely give this one a play. And that is it. Thank you all for watching. This is JagTiger93 signing out. You have a good one.